Hello. Happy Junior Friday or Friday Eve, aka Thursday. If you guys can hear me, please drop a one in the chat. How is everybody doing? Where are you coming in from? What you sipping on? I have coffee and I also have, which is a little bit out of my reach, I also have my water. Sugar Bear is in my lap. He was nursing. Now he's just down here smiling. Um, hey Shell, what's cracking? Oh, look at Kosha is on too. Hey, it's the old gang. Let's get back together again. Yeah. So I was sitting here. I've been doing on the for Vlogtober, working on change, and it is difficult and it is painful. I found a video on shadow work, and so because I there's things that are triggering me that I feel like I need to do shadow work, which is basically like uncovering what is in your subconscious. And I found I'll link it in this video. I'm gonna put it in my Vlogtober thing for today too, but basically like things that we've repressed, whether they're quote unquote good things or bad things about ourselves, and they find creative ways to get out. Hey Sylvia. They find creative ways to get out. And so for those of you guys who don't know, I've been going through this whole thing of like trying to get rid of clutter in my house. And I've just been on this journey. Like there's something, it's more than just like laziness, right? There's some blockage that I have that I'm trying to figure out how to get through. And I'm setting up a schedule and doing all those things, but then I keep getting stuck when I'm trying to, hey, Red Blonde Chick, I keep getting stuck when I'm trying to move forward. And so there's something that's blocking me. So I was just sitting here like doing the serenity prayer, right? God, give me strength to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I know I can change them. I just have to dig deep and find the courage. So in that respect, I'm glad I'm doing Vlogtober because I'm being held accountable to it. Of like, I've got to get through whatever this blockage is. I have to get through it, but it is hard and it's making me emotional, like it's something, I don't know. It's not just, oh, I don't want to get rid of the clutter. Like I'm holding on to these things for dear life and I don't know why, and I need to let it go. I mean, the example that I've been given is I have 4 bathrobes. I have 4 bathrobes right now hanging up in my bathroom. I obviously only need one, but I made a compromise with myself. Keep 2 for now and get rid of 2, and I still can't get rid of the 2, right? That's it, like an oversimplification of everything that's going on, but that's one specific example that I can give you. I have stuff in my pantry that I've thrown it out now. I picked up some stuff that was expired and took it out of there, but God only knows. And then I looked in there where the dog's little basket, and there's stuff that's been in that basket. Like it moved from 139th Street to 8th Ave. Like why? Um, yeah, so I just have to take responsibility for that and figure it out because I don't want to raise Sugar Bear in a house of clutter, right? I don't want him to think that that's acceptable or normal because it's not. And I just want to have like healthy habits for him and for him to live in like a healthy home. It feels like um chaos sometimes, right? Let me lift him up. And so I'm just wondering, uh-oh. You want to say hi to the people? Say hi. Say I turned 4 months. I'm 2.5 feet tall, which is just crazy to me. Hey, Sylvia, I had that too. I knocked those berries down, and you will too. So, Sylvia, what did you do to get through it? You hold on to stuff too, Kosha. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, part of it I know is like my upbringing, like moving every year, and also having an issue with like hand me downs. But that's so long ago. Uh, but there's some kind of comfort in the stuff because as I'm trying to get rid of it, it hurts. Like it literally physically hurts. And so I'm like, what is that about? So like I said, I started watching this video about shadow work, but it was getting me teared up. So I was like, let me take a break and talk to the fam. Hey Tiffany, how are you? Kosha says happy 4 months. You want to say hi? Let's see if I can get him to smile without throwing up on me. Up, 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 up. Wee, boom. No, oh, there's a little bit of spit up. Let me see. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Say, Mama, I just ate and you didn't burp me. Stop playing around, lady. Okay, let's burp you. So yeah, like why is it? And it almost now I have much more sympathy or empathy for the people who are on hoarders. I don't know how they do it all at once. Like I think you need a whole separate therapy session. And then I kept making excuses of like, well, I'm gonna donate it. But then the obstacle is where I gotta figure out where to donate. I have to do the research. How am I gonna get it there? But I'm ultimately just stalling, right? Because at this point it can go in the trash. Like if that's the reason, sis, just throw it away. Um Even when I talked to the therapist yesterday, she was just like, yeah, there are places they'll come pick it up. But I'm like, I don't want to go on another adventure because I mean, you guys know me. I can't even stay. I can't even get on a connector. I just keep going. What is it? The 285? I can't get on the connector. So I'll be finding a million other things to do and then I'll be in the same predicament. And I'm trying not like I go back to work next month, so I'm trying to get it done before I go back to work, but that even may not be realistic. I just got to start somewhere. And so I mean, and I've got everything from like soaps to different cleaners, so I'm just looking around. All kinds of things that I'm holding on to. And it somehow has I've assigned a value to it. Like not just a value to it, but like it a value to it that measures my value, if that makes sense. Like somehow I'm going to be less valuable without all this stuff, which is just crazy. Um, and yet I keep shopping. I just opened up a Temu bag yesterday. It was like I got cords for my phone, I got collars for the dogs, like flea collar. It's just, but now I still have old cords that don't work. I need to throw them away. Before I was holding on to them, like, oh, I have to find a way to like dispose of the electronics, which I used to take them to work. Maybe I'll put them in a bag to go to work, but I have to stop making excuses. So I have to figure out like what is the blockage. You had to emotionally detach from it. Yeah. I told myself, let me just see. For me, I told myself if I'm not using it, then I don't need it. Plus, I had my friend declutter with me because honestly, most of the stuff I didn't use at all or I forgot I had. Yeah, I don't have anybody to come and declutter with me. I'm going to have to go through it all. But to that point, like it's not even just like material things. There's like paperwork I have. I have photos still from when I was acting. Like I have them in a box. They're now in Sugar Bear's nursery. There's some boxes in there that I have not opened up probably since 2014. And so I literally could probably throw them away and never miss anything. Um, and then yesterday I was going through stuff and I found like old pictures. So I started taking pictures of those. And so then I got sidetracked on reviewing pictures, right? I should have just put them in a bag and kept going through what I was sorting out. But it was like, I'll show you guys. I found a picture of Cheyenne. I found a picture of my cousin Jamila when she was pregnant and she had just her son is now getting married this weekend, so I sent it. But look, I found this yesterday, so I was taking pictures of pictures. Um, that was Cheyenne. This is my cousin Jamila. Right? Oh, it turned. So her son that's in her belly in this picture is getting married on the 7th. So I just had a whole like sidetrack of an hour. And meanwhile, I'm like, okay, just do it for 2 hours every day. Well, I spent an hour like going down memory lane. Um, I actually feel good about it, and I still have more to declutter in my garage with the help of my friends as well. It's a good emotional exercise. Yes. Hey, love, how are you? It definitely is. I wasn't expecting it to be so emotional for me. That's kind of what's like hitting me weird. I too hold on to things that should be long gone, but I do believe it's because when I grew up, my mom did not have many keepsakes for when I was younger. Yeah. I I'm trying to think. Do we have? I've always held on to things like or collected things too. Like we would go places. Say if my mom had to go to the insurance or the DMV or whatever. You know how they have the little pamphlets. I would go grab one of each pamphlet, take it home and read it, each one of them, and then put them in a drawer and hold on to them. Like it's been a long time. So yes, pictures are definitely priceless, love, love. And the thing is, like, there is a lot of my childhood photos are gone. So maybe that's why also, but I've been just sentimental forever. I have so many pictures of all of my family. I just love uh reminiscing, I guess, or like holding on to them. Some of them, that's all that I have left. Like I've got a picture of Cheyenne and my auntie Michelle together. It's hanging up in my wall, on my wall in a collage in my room. You know, she passed away in 2006 and she very rarely wanted to take photos, but because the baby was there, she took the photo, which is why I'm going to do the photo book for Sugar Bear for his first trip back. So he has like memories of all of those folks, you know, because a lot of them, I mean, some of them are in their 70s. They're not going to be around when he grows up. So, um, yeah. But oh, I know what I was gonna say. So a lot of our childhood photos got lost or are gone. Like my mom had a storage and she let the storage go like back, I don't know, in 1989 or something like that. So they're all gone. Like my high school prom pictures. I never got a yearbook. My best friend has two. Well, my childhood best friend has two of the yearbooks. So when I go to Florida, I'll look through them. Um, my high school cheerleading outfit I did not get rid of until I moved to 139th Street. So I was already past 40. I had just been carrying that thing on since 1989. I wore it as a Halloween costume a couple years, you know, just like somehow those things are holding value for me. I recently started a baby and maternity boutique. Would it be okay to put the, oh, yeah, definitely. Please share, although I won't be buying anything because I have to get over my and so that's the compound of my problem, right? I hold on to things and then I have the shopping thing. And I think there's a part of me that enjoys, I don't even know if it's the right word, addiction. Like I've stopped drinking, but surely I was having a drinking issue at points in my life, leading up to my fertility journey and in my fertility journey. Now my thing is shopping, which is not healthy either. So I really want to get through this work. And October is going to be the month to do it. So I have like three pictures from when I was a child. Probably why I take so many of my son. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm, especially now that it's digital, I don't have to go to Rite Aid and get these things printed out. Like, oh my God, I have so many of them. You know, because you can see them in real time. But I am going to make a book for him so he has like physical pictures. Did you put it in? Let's see, I'll highlight it if you put it in the chat. Because I think I have to approve it. Now my parents are tiny hoarders, and I tell myself I don't want to be like them at all. Yeah, so I'm not gonna call my mom a hoarder, but she does like to hold on to things. I'm not gonna name anybody or diagnose anybody, but like when we moved my mom into my sister's house back in 2020, um, there were things that she did not want to throw away. Like we literally put her stuff in three storage things because she did not want to throw things away. Like she moved a baby grand in there. She moved like her outdoor lawn furniture into the storage. You know, it's ultimately going to be at the end of the day, probably it would have been cheaper to get rid of it and to buy new lawn furniture. You know what I mean? But trust me, I've done the same thing. So up until last year, was it last year? It was either last year or the year before. It had to be last year because Cheyenne moved out last year. Up until last year, was paying for a storage, and it's such a bad habit for somebody who can't let things go, right? Because then I don't have to decide anything, because it's not going to bother me. I just put it in the storage and leave it there. And then when Cheyenne moved out, I took everything out of that storage and put it in this what was the spare room, and then it became the nursery. So now the stuff has had to come out of it. I mean, there's still a stack of boxes in his nursery that I need to get rid of, but I don't have a place, another place to put them. But it's just like storage can be the devil because it just delays dealing with a problem instead of actually dealing with it. But I am going to give myself grace now that I know it's something deeper than just, I can't get rid of it. Like there's some it's trauma based is what I'm learning. So there's something in my past that I have to heal in order to let these things go. It's not just as simple of let it go. Did it post? I don't see the link. It's all done. If it doesn't post here, oh, you know why? I'm in StreamYard. I'm not on I don't think there's a moderator in here to approve it. Will you email it to me? Oh, that's so weird. Or put the name of what the shop is and I'll Google it and then I can put the link in there. I don't have a way, if it's blocking it, I don't have a way to unblock it because I'm inside a StreamYard and not on the YouTube studio. And I don't think there's a moderator in here to see it. Oh, actually, let's try it this way with a private chat if I can do that. It's all done. No, I don't want to do that. Shoot. Okay, I'm in here doing too much. If I do the will it pull you up? Yeah, no, I can't see that. Okay. No, I just lost the whole chat. Okay, baby, hold on. I just lost the whole chat. Chat with everyone. See, I was trying to do too much. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay. It's the same. Okay, so let me see. Okay. Hang on. The boss is calling. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so let me go to Google All D Done LLC. All D Done. Dunn is my sister's married name. Okay, here we go. alldone.com. Candle. Oh, I love the artwork. Whose little baby is that on there? So cute. I love her little dress. Okay, where are you guys? Let me get back over here. I'll show you guys too really fast so you can see. Share screen. Yeah, let's support one another. Okay. You guys see that? Isn't that cute? Let me take the message off the screen. Let me take myself off the screen. Okay. Let's accept the cookies. $15% off when you spend $50 on baby and maternity gear. Oh, I love these. I need to be off of here. I can't buy anything. I'm sorry. But yeah. Oh, these are so cute. The diaper backpack. Very cute. Do you have nursing? Look, me, who's not supposed to be buying. Do you have nursing tops? So yeah, if anyone's got littles at home or are pregnant or want to give yourself a faith gift, definitely check that out. Thank you. Oh, that's your daughter. She's gorgeous. Oh my God, so cute. Okay, so hopefully you guys save that. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I am just, this is going to be more difficult. I'm upbeat about it, but like I said, it is emotional. It's just going to be more. Let me turn off my sound. Oh, it's on the computer. Let me close this. Nope. Sorry, guys. Somebody's texting me. So it is not easy. So I guess if anybody else is going through it, I'm glad I'm doing it now because I want to go into 2024 with like a clean slate and having a little more understanding of myself. And I'm going to do group therapy tonight. And then I have like the regular therapist tomorrow. Yesterday I had the lady who does my meds. But yeah, I wanted to hop on here and share. I'm revisiting my Abraham Hicks books. I got him down here. I can't because he's but it's the one, the power of emotions, the astonishing power of emotions, and then asking it is given to oh, thank you. I will. Okay, so you're encouraging my shopping habit. I will look and see. Yeah, so it just is, if anybody else is going through the same thing, I just want to offer encouragement. You're not alone. The struggle is definitely real. And it is, I'm glad to be digging into it though. Like, I definitely, a friend of mine at work, like one of her parents passed and she had to clean out their house. And she was like astounded by all of those like things that the person had collected. And I don't want to leave a mess for anybody to clean up or things that I haven't. But literally, somebody was commenting on one of my videos the other day, like buying duplicates of things because you forget you have it. Like right now in my cabinet, I have two, it sounds silly, two Caesar dressings, but there's one in the fridge that's almost empty. But I forgot I had ordered like a backup already and then ordered another one. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I might have to just go all the way to the opposite end and like inventory everything and keep track of it until I have a better handle on like what's happening. Because it's ultimately just wasting money. And who has money to waste? Money and time. Because the time that I took to reorder it and have it delivered, and it just is not, it's not a good look. So I gotta figure it out. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's so interesting too. It gives me like a fresh impression of how much our childhood impacts us for the rest of our lives. And I think it's a good perspective to have now that I've got a new one at home. And so just mindful of how everything, like kids are sponges, and even the things that we don't openly acknowledge are still impacting us. And the thing about the shadow work is it's sometimes things that we've unknowingly repressed, because the woman was saying like it can be good or it can be bad, and not like in a moral way, but it can be a positive or it can be a negative. Like, say for example, you could have like selfish tendencies, but you're suppressing it because someone gave you shame about being selfish, right? So I definitely know I have shame about being selfish, which is why it was very hard for me to grasp like giving myself grace. Like, I was taught to not, oh, my arms are flapping, I was taught to not put myself first, right? Basically, I was taught that was bad. Like, you have to think about everybody else first, which now I know it doesn't make sense, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else, right? So I'm still trying to reconcile that. Like, I know that from an intellectual standpoint, but from a visceral standpoint, there's a trigger in me that feels bad, because that's what I've been taught. That's what my body knows, if that makes sense. And so, like, I need to dig into all of those things. There also might be good things about ourselves that we've repressed. Like, I was always told I was too emotional. I don't think it's a bad thing to be too emotional. Now I don't, but I was taught that was not healthy, or that was not good. So I would always, as an adult, as a young adult, I would say, well, I'm tough because I have to be, not because I want to be. And I meant it as things have happened in my life to make me tough, but I also think like subconsciously I meant it because I was taught that, you know what I mean, that I had to be. So yeah, now I do try to give other people grace. You don't know what people are going through. Like, one of the things, like, somebody left a crazy comment on the Simply Tanika channel about how I was selfish. I deleted it, but how I was selfish for having the baby, and I was a bad example for Black women or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not responsible for Black women. Do you know what I mean? I'm responsible for me. That's a whole lot. I don't even think Oprah is responsible for Black women. Like, what does that even mean? And then what is the point of saying it now that the baby is here? You want me to send him back? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, and this was just this morning. I'm trying to remember what video I don't even know how she found she obviously watched the video because she knew it was a boy. It doesn't say that I have a boy in the thumbnail, because that was another thing. Like, he's not going to know his biological father. How could you do that, especially to his son? I feel sorry for him. Like, you feel sorry for him and he's alive? Really? I know very few people who feel sorry to be alive. I don't think it's selfish to give somebody life. What he does with it, is ultimately up to him. My job is to guide him, and I'm doing, the best I can by uncovering my own past trauma to not, let's end these generational curses. I know I need to do shadow work. It keeps coming up literally everywhere for me. Girl, it's coming up for me too. It's like, and I've been saying it probably for over a year and I haven't dug into it. This month, I'm going to dig into it because I need things to change. And I know once I go through the shadow work, like it shouldn't make me want to cry to throw things away. Like that should not be an emotional trigger. Do you know, like I see people throwing stuff away all the time without a care in the world. But yeah, the hater, yeah, I don't know. It just is like people in their opinions, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them. I think it is one of the, because I had when I did the pink book lessons response, or not a response, I guess it was a semi response. Some people came over from that channel because I had posted on her page about there can be, for those of you guys who don't know, I did the Kerry Washington thing, and the channel had said the woman was lying that she didn't really have a sperm donor because sperm donors didn't exist when Kerry Washington was younger or when she was born. And I just put in a comment that is incorrect. Like sperm banks have been around since 1964, and IUIs were available at that time, because she was like, oh, she couldn't have had an IVF because the first IVF baby in the US was born in 83. Well, there's other ways to use sperm outside of IVF, right? So I had commented on there just like, letting her know. But she's very much a proponent of the patriarchal society and like the man being the head of the household and leading the women, and talks about any woman who doesn't follow that is a modern woman and uses it negatively. So I did that. So I feel like that person came over from there, or came over from the short that I have about being 52, because she was like, you're in your 50s and did it, and I'm like, oh my god. Like I don't have those people in my normal life. It's only on the internet. But again, you don't know what I went through. You don't know what I have to offer. You looked at, maybe 7 minutes of my life and decided that I made a horrible mistake. Like my son is not a horrible mistake. I'm living my life with intention. And yeah, I mean, that's just that. I'm going to be a better parent now than I was at 23, just because I'm different. I inflicted a lot of trauma on my firstborn because I didn't know it was trauma. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know that was what I grew up with. I had normalized it. Just like when you see people and you're like, the mom has 8 kids and is on welfare, and then one of the daughters ends up with a bunch of kids, and everybody will always say, well, you think she would know better from her mother. No, it's the exact opposite. She knows the life that she lived, and so she's repeating it. Like you have to do work to decide to make changes, and I've done that. I've done it before, as far as like where I've come in life. Like I'm from a single teenage mom. I could have very well have ended up on welfare for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean? I made a conscious decision to overcome that, and so I can do that again, but like what's inside my home. I've been very focused, I guess, on what can be seen externally, and not, again, it feels selfish to work on myself. Like that's very self-indulgent, right? To be like, I want to be a better person. Everybody doesn't have the time for that. Some people are trying to figure out how they're going to keep their light bill on. They don't have time to be a better person. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, I have that luxury, so to speak, to do it. So I'm going to do it no matter how much it hurts. And I think, just like if you've ever been to therapy and like started talking about something and just broke out crying because you didn't realize it was would trigger you in that way, or that it was painful. I think it's the same thing. Like I've got to push through it. And I've, like the prayer, I'm asking God for the courage to change the things that I can. So, hey, Michelle, what the hell is wrong? I don't know. People say crazy stuff. And then the other thing is like being nasty to people. You don't know what their mental state is, right? I just had a baby. I could be going through postpartum depression or baby blues, or, whatever. There's that other one that's really bad where the moms start killing the kids. Like, what if I'm on the edge and you leave this comment? Like, be kind to people. It costs you nothing, or just shut the fuck up. Like, That's not difficult. Nobody asked you for your opinion. I'm not saying you can't have it, but don't come spew it over here. Do you know? Like you have no idea. Meanwhile, I have like lots of women who are like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're sharing the story. It's my story too. I don't feel isolated." We want what we want, and we have a right to that, and it's not for anyone to judge. And because I'm 52 doesn't mean I'm not going to be here to see him grow up. Like tomorrow is promised to none of us. My mom's mom died when she was in her 30s. So being 50, I'm healthy. It doesn't, people just have strange opinions. There are also people who think like gay people are pedophiles and then they spew that over the internet. Like it just I can't control those people, but I can control my thoughts. I can make sure that I'm the best human that I can be and give these people grace that they don't know any better. They're repeating trauma, Just like when I was pregnant with Cheyenne, like relatives would be like, "You ruined your life," because they're repeating the trauma that was taught to them. How am I supposed to feel good about raising a child when now you've told me my life is ruined? Obviously, now I have the ability to look back and say they were crazy, but I'm sure I put a lot of pressure on her because of that. Like we couldn't have our lives ruined, so I put a lot of pressure on her to like succeed. Do you know what I mean? Succeed versus just being a good human being. And so we have to break those generational curses. We have to stop talking crazy to each other. We have to stop talking crazy to our children and just saying things, even simple things like telling a child that they're bad. They aren't bad. Children aren't bad. Their behavior might be bad. Do you know what I mean? But what does that do on the psyche if someone is telling you every day that you're bad? Oh, you bad. He's bad. I hear that all the time in the story. Get your bad ass over here. Like that. That's trauma. You're inflicting trauma. It's psychological abuse. And people don't mean it. They just don't know any better. I did shadow work last year and it was really hard to be honest, but it helped so much. Yeah, Moonlight. I'm discovering it. I'm only like really digging into it this week and it is very hard, very emotional. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. Like I was in here crying earlier. It's just like it's a lot, but obviously I need to do it. Carlene, hello. Francois, I love that last name. Shannon, hey. Don't worry. I'm 47 trying to get pregnant from a bank. The cis is made, it's not her. Oh, congratulations. I hope that it all works. With Sugar Bear, enjoy the gift and pray for the. Yeah, that's all I can do. I used to really get mad and get frustrated and want to go like hand to hand combat with these people in the comments, not physically. But you got to let those people go. God bless them, as they say in the South. God bless them. God bless their soul. No, I'm serious. Like, you gotta hope for them that they can overcome that trauma and that they stop inflicting it on other people. But I am not gonna be susceptible to it. You ain't gonna talk me into crazy. I'm trying to rise up. I'm trying to vibrate higher. You know what I mean? And that's like the basis level to get on the internet and tell somebody how they're not living their life or how they should live their life. And what am I meant to do with that information? Do you know? Like I'm saying, you don't know my mental state. Like you could tell that to the wrong one who's going through a bunch of postpartum depression. And the next thing you know, that person is on the news because their baby is dead. Like be mindful of your words. Words are powerful. Thoughts are powerful. And so, yeah. For any typos, I'm trying. Okay, well, please don't be driving. Or maybe you're like me and you got something else in your other hand, but please don't be driving. Yeah. So it just, let's try and be kind to each other. It's okay to be selfish and take care of yourself. I don't think it's selfish. I think it's self-love. I think society, especially part of the patriarchal society is like women are supposed to be all giving to everyone else. And men don't have to deal with their emotions as long as they're the provider, Um, for a long time I thought that's what my worth was to like make money because again I had that thing in my head of like people telling me that whoa, sorry guys, I'm trying to get comfortable, I'm knocking the table you're on. I don't want to have ruined my life. What a horrible thing to say. Now first of all, I was 23. You guys know the human brain doesn't finish growing until 25. Like imagine how powerful that is to tell somebody you ruined your life. What's to stop them from jumping off a bridge if you get the wrong person at the right time or the right person at the wrong time? Like words are very powerful. And I don't know. I've always been fascinated with the English language. I love, love, love the language, but I think I also look for deeper meaning in words because of that. But you just don't know how somebody is going to take that. And I don't think having a child ruins someone's life. I mean, it may pose different obstacles that you have to overcome, right? Maybe those are the words we say to people of like, it may be tough, but you can do it. I'll be here to support you. But of course, nobody wants to say they're here to support you when you're young and having a child. But maybe that's what the person needs, and not support them in a way that handicaps them, but supports it in a way that they have enough energy to build themselves up and are not just drained, working three jobs and coming home. And do you know, like I remember my mom working two or three jobs at a time. My brother and I, we had paper routes, times were tough. And so she didn't have her mom to depend on. We didn't have like a grandma per se to come and watch us. Like we had what was my mom's grandma, our great grandma that we knew as grandma, but she was up there in age. She had diabetes. She would have stroke. So when I was really little, she was like up until I was 5, we lived with her. And then I feel like I can't remember how old I was. I know we lived on Tulare Street across from Roosevelt. She came back to live with us. But there was a time where like I was a latchkey kid. I had to keep my brother in the house, make sure we don't answer the door, don't answer the phone. So there's all sorts of things that then in turn my child did not have to do. But I felt very judged as a parent because I had been told I had ruined my life. So it was like I almost projected perfection onto her, right? Like, because I was worried about what people thought. Like, what a horrible thing to instill in a child. Like, who cares what other people think? Like, live your best life. Um, yes. So, hey, Lonnie. Um, Girl, we are in here talking about shadow work. I'm doing shadow work and it just triggered a bunch of emotions. So I wanted to come on here and talk about it. If anybody else is out there doing shadow work or trying to change, to push through it, think about the serenity prayer. God, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I'm praying for courage to change the things that I can so that I can be the best version of myself, for me and for Sugar Bear, but ultimately for me, right? So that I can go to bed every night and sleep well, knowing I got up and did the best that I could and was the best version of myself. So yeah, but there's a lot of trauma, and it's a lot of it has been repressed, and I only recently started even talking about it because before I felt like, oh, if I say these things out loud it'll be like shaming my family. I'm not trying to shame anyone. Like I don't judge anybody for how I got here. I'm alive. I'm well, do you know? So it's not like, oh, my mom should have done this or done that. Like she did the best that she had with the information she had at the time. And I will always respect her for that. My mom was always one to be like, or she's still alive. So let me speak of her in the present, is always one to be like, if they need to get 2 jobs in a paper route. And it wasn't just a saying, like I've witnessed it with my own eyes that we've lived that life. And so like she made sure we were clothed, fed, all of the basics were taken care of, that we got our education. So yeah, she did the best that she could with the information she had. Lord knows she came from much more trauma. So to that extent, she broke some of the generational curses. Not all of them though. I don't fault her though. Like, she did what she had to do to survive. And she's an amazing woman. She's a tough cookie though, for sure. She is tough. Thank you, Lonnie. Yeah, I'm gonna push through it. I'm started setting my 2024 goals early, so that's kind of where I am. And like I want to set myself up for success in 2024. Like I don't want to take the clutter into 2024. I don't want to take any repressed emotions or thoughts or traumas into 2024. Do you know, like you guys know I watch the true crime stuff. So I've just now been acknowledging that I was sexually abused as a child, right? Before I would always justify it like it was by other children. They were older than me. And I would always be like, oh, they were just playing about. No, they touched my body in a way that I did not consent to, you know? Um, yeah. So just being honest about where I came from so that I can be clear on where I'm going, where I want to go. And I want to get there without all the baggage of the past, and not to discount that it happened, but to manage it, reconcile it, and move forward. Because why do I want to carry it? God willing, I might live to be 104. If not, I'm more than halfway done with my life. I don't want to keep carrying that around. Like, that's a heavy load. It's heavy. I'm sitting here like crying over trying to throw out robes. So yeah, I just want to let it go. I want to be free. I want to be free. So anyway, that's my little sharing of thoughts that I just wanted to get on here and say. I will have a Vlogtober up on the Becoming Tanika channel, but I wanted to say this in real time in case there's anybody that it resonates with. And also just to talk myself off of the ledge. So thank you for listening to me, because I don't want to be, I don't know. Sometimes we're alone with our thoughts. What I found is once you say something out loud, you take the power away that it has from you. Like, I started doing that a couple years ago, like at jobs. People would say stuff to me that I thought was crazy, but I'm like, well, maybe I'm tripping. So I'm just going to repeat it out loud to other people and see how they react. And then they'll be like shocked. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is not okay. This is not okay. Um, and it just takes that wind or that power out of the words that people have said or the actions that they have done, right? So sometimes we just got to say it out loud. Sometimes it is not, it's perfectly normal what they said. And people will say, no, I think it's this, I think it's that. But be mindful. If you have a friend that you're telling things that seem strange to you, if you're sharing that with a friend and every time you tell them they negate your feelings, that person is not your friend. They're like, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It is like two things can be true at the same time. Like, there may be some facts about it that are 100% true, but how that person is feeling is also valid. And so if you're telling someone you feel bad about that, or they feel, just like, they'll help you get to the root of it and not be like dismissive of your specific thoughts. Because I've had that too, where people are like, oh no, you're overthinking it, or you're making a big deal. Like, and so then I question myself, like, oh, and maybe I am overthinking it. That could be totally true, right? But it also could be true that it's bothering me. Both of those two things can be true at the same time. And so you got to catch, right time, right place. You got to catch them at the right time to say it, or they got to catch you at the right time. But if consistently there's somebody in your life who every time there's something going on, they're like, nope, that's a you problem. Something is wrong with that too. On the flip side, if there's somebody who's always coming to you with a problem, that's another situation. So I think also as part of all of this, like, decluttering, there are people that I have to declutter from my life. Like, I have one friend who is lovely person, doesn't have good boundaries, and so it always comes back to bite her. Now, I'm not saying that her feelings about what's happening are not valid, but I would love for her to take responsibility for her actions and contributing to that. Do you know what I mean? So I just think if you're striving to vibrate higher, then surround yourself with other people who are striving to vibrate higher. And then you guys will lift each other up. If there's somebody who every time you talk to them, you have to brace yourself because something has gone wrong. Like, for example, she has daughters and she has grandchildren. One of the daughters wanted her to watch her children. I think she has three of the grandchildren for the weekend, and she couldn't tell her daughter no. So instead, she went to her friend's house in the Bronx and stayed for the weekend, pretending to be in South Carolina because she couldn't just tell her daughter no. Like, sis, just say no. Just say, she was like, you don't know my daughter. She has the key to my apartment. She'll just come in and leave her kids. No, the hell she won't. We all have interior locks in New York. I don't care who has the key. We all have interior. Lock the door if you tell her no and she can't. You know what I mean? So it's like those kind of things. Then she's upset that she had to go and hide in the Bronx and her animals were there and dislocated. And it's just like, Yes, I understand your feelings about this. However, there are steps that you could be taking, but maybe that's shadow work for her. Maybe she doesn't want to go through it. But again, if I'm trying to do shadow work to vibrate higher, I only can encourage her to do it, but I can't stay there with her, if that makes sense. Thank you, Nate. Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you. Being this vulnerable is hard, and I applaud you for being strong and facing the trauma face on. Merely acknowledging it is hard enough, but sharing is strong. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is. I just have to be like honest with myself. There's a lot of stuff that I pretend it didn't happen, but it's still like rolling around in my head, and it's impacted my relationships. And so, yeah, I was. Whew, it's a crazy thing. Little boys should not be playing, or big boys should not be playing doctor with. Uh, Little girls. Also, I was afraid of my mom. Like, I was afraid of disappointing her. So I never, this is the thing too, when we don't teach children about sex and our bodies. I know somebody was making fun, or I don't know if she was making fun. I'm being nice when I say she was making fun, but she was questioning why I was teaching Sugar Bear about consent, right? Of like consent changing his diaper. But they have to learn from very young, good touch, bad touch. And you have to teach them before they're absorbing a lot, even though they can't speak, even though he can't say yes to me when I ask him for consent. He's understanding it on the level that he can, and then it, as he grows, it becomes age appropriate. But when you tell children like don't do the nasty or blah blah blah, there's shame associated with that. Now, I wasn't doing the nasty per se, but nasty things are being done to me, so I was afraid to say anything because I felt like my mom would be angry with me, so I just pretended it didn't happen. Do you know? And then I remember, this is like the weirdest thing that was happening to me. I went outside to play with someone else, and I like screamed in his ear, and then he started crying. And I remember, like, for weeks I thought, oh my God, I probably damaged his eardrum. So then I felt shame about that, but I was reacting from the other thing that I felt powerless from. So I just think like the more we can teach children about sexuality and all of those things, then it destigmatizes like what's happening. And I thought I did all the right things with Cheyenne, but it turns out, I did the best that I could with what I had at the time, and we'll leave it at that. But I want to be better. I want to be a better parent. I want to be a better human being. So I have to sort through, like, no matter how painful it is, but so I can heal myself too, right? I know sometimes when people die, they say, the pain heals over time, or it gets better in time, or it lessens in time. And the truth is, we are able to manage it better in time, but it doesn't hurt any less. Like, I remember the day my great grandma died, second day of eighth grade. It doesn't hurt any less. I just have learned to manage those emotions better because I've had more time. With trauma, does it hurt less over time, or do we learn to manage it better over time? I think we have to learn to manage it better. I think I have to do that now. Otherwise, like, I wouldn't be sitting here tearing up talking about things that happened to me when I was 8 years old that I pretended didn't happen. Um, hey, cherished Olivia TVO. I like that name. Cherished Olivia. So shadow work is, there are things in our subconscious, that traits that we've had or things that we've dealt with. I'm going to pull it up actually, because I'm going to put it in this video for later. But let me do this because this woman says it better than I can say it. So I want to just give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull it up on YouTube. But there are things in our that are repressed, that we've repressed, and they move from our consciousness to our subconscious, and they find ways to express themselves. And it's because we haven't dealt with them. Either we were told, how do I do this? Either we were told that we shouldn't have that, shouldn't do that. Say, for example, we were told not to be selfish, so we suppress that part of ourselves. But then there's something inside of us that will help that selfishness find a creative way to get out. And then we're not in control of it because we are not conscious of it. I wrote it down. Let me just, because I was working on another video. So let's just do, what's the time marker? God, where did I put it? Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I think it was 102. Do you remember, Sugar Bear? You're awake again? Okay, 102 to 507. So this is going to be a 4-minute clip I'll pay for you guys. And then, because she'll explain it much better than I explain it. So let me go to 102. And this woman, her name is Heidi Prieb. She actually has a series. I'm going to watch more of it for the whole month of like 102. Okay, hold on. Oh my God, the ads. Let me come back to you guys and share, and then we'll do that. Share screen. Okay. So let me make this bigger. Whoa. Here we go. I know it's on mute. Give me 1 second. I just don't want to hear this this gentleman.
Shadow work. Attachment theory predominantly looks at what we learn to repress very early on in order to not get rejected or abandoned by our caregivers.
Let me play it back just a little bit, so hopefully they don't give me another ad.
To better manipulate others, but to actually heal the deep wounds that exist within yourself, you are by definition doing shadow work. Attachment theory predominantly looks at what we learn to repress very early on in order to not get rejected or abandoned by our caregivers. And this is pretty much exactly what shadow work looks at as well. But what shadow work focuses on is making those parts of our psyches that we repressed early on and kind of distanced ourselves from very conscious in our awareness so that we can ideally integrate those parts of ourselves and have a more sane and well-rounded experience of being alive. So in short, according to Jung, there are parts of our personalities that are very conscious to us, right? So the ways that we like to think of ourselves and the kind of terms that we would use to describe ourselves if someone else were to ask us who we are. But there are also parts of our personality that are unconscious or repressed. So these are often the things that we consciously like to think we do not have prevalent in us at all. So if I kind of hinge my ego on being a good, caring, empathetic person, I might not want to admit to myself or to other people that parts of me are selfish, narcissistic, and judgmental, or whatever it is. But just because we've repressed certain things from our conscious awareness does not mean that those things disappear from our personality. They go on operating under the surface and they just affect our lives in unconscious ways. So we're going to talk as this video goes on about how that can happen and what it might look like to have a part of your shadow self impacting your life without you understanding what's happening. But the basic theory is when we're very young, if there are certain traits that are deemed socially unacceptable in our early environments, we're going to learn to disidentify with those traits, tell ourselves, that's not me, that's not who I am, and live our lives in a way that mostly avoids having to express those traits intentionally. But those traits go on operating under the surface and expressing themselves unconsciously, which can end up looking like forms of self-sabotage, forms of confusion around why we keep attracting the same types of people or situations that we consciously think we don't want. We're going to go over a wide variety of ways in which our shadow selves might show up in our lives as this video goes on. But for now, what's important to understand is that we all have parts of ourselves that we have hidden from ourselves. And those hidden parts do not disappear just because we start disidentifying with them. They go on finding ways to creatively express themselves and meet the world just without our conscious awareness. So Jung had a very famous quote about this that I personally absolutely love that goes, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And it's important to point out that it's not
So hopefully that was a clear enough synopsis of it. So because I was having an emotional response to decluttering. I know that there's shadow work that I have to do because I can't figure out how to get rid of the 4 robes that I have that I clearly don't need, among other things. Isaiah 61:1. Hey. I'm right there with you as far as the holding on to things and trying to declutter. Yes. Undiagnosed ADHD presented as stress, anxiety, and depression because of executive function challenges, which often makes it difficult to get things done and figure out what to do when. So I was just talking to the nurse about this yesterday in my therapy session, and she was like, "No, I tested you for ADHD in the beginning." I was like, "What were the questions again?" And so it was like the ability to complete projects. Well, I've scored high on that, but I complete projects at work for a living. It's the projects at home that don't get completed, right? So I'm wondering if I do have ADHD. Like, I'm diagnosed with anxiety disorder, but maybe it is because I'm, like I said, or maybe I didn't say, but anyway, I've been watching a bunch of videos about like the psychology associated with clutter and the problems, the obstacles of decluttering when you have those. And one of it popped up in the feed of like someone with ADHD and they're decluttering, and a lot of it resonated with me. I don't know if I have it or not. There could be parallels, but she was like, just she's going to run it through insurance because there's some diagnostic tests that they have for it, but she was like, it's expensive and sometimes they don't clear it. And so she just wants to see first. I'd be willing to pay out of pocket, but of course, like, let's see what insurance does. And then she just encouraged me, like, tomorrow I have a regular therapy to talk through it with him. But yeah, so there are, like when the woman said, you end up repeating the same behaviors again that you thought you didn't want. Like, for example, for me, it shows up in relationships. Like, I keep ending up in like abusive relationships. And even in relationships, like, I've been sexually violated and I normalized it. Uh, it's the stuff that I had never addressed from childhood that now I need to address. I mean, I've been single now since the first week of 2020. I'm working on myself. I need to work on myself. I think sometimes we get just running from relationship to relationship. I was running from situation to situationship. I knew something was wrong, so I was like not looking for committed relationships, but it's deeper than that. I don't want to keep repeating the same mistakes or keep attracting the same things that I know are not good for me. So I want to do this shadow work. And I'm not kidding myself that it'll just only be these 3 months that I have to do it. I'm sure there's a lot more. Like, these are the things that have been coming up for me, but I've only started thinking about it maybe for like the last couple of weeks. So who knows what will come up. I'm wondering, like, I don't know if this is too far. Has anybody done hypnosis for like repressed thoughts? And if you did it work? You've been doing shadow work yourself? Yeah. It is good to do, but it's painful. It is just like, oh my goodness. Sounds like something I need to delve into. It's definitely worth looking into. I have the inattentive type of ADHD, AD, yeah, or a yeah. I know there is something related to executive function. So I just, yeah. And one of the things Tasha sent me yesterday, it was like, ADHD looks like being able to go clean somebody else's house, but coming home and not being able to do yours. Like, I can go to my sister's house and scrub everything down and like, let's find a place for it. But I don't come home with that same energy. Like, I just get paralyzed in here of like, where do I start? And so one of the videos was suggesting like start small with a spot. Like, don't even try to do a whole room. Like, do a drawer and see what that feels like and pull everything out. Like, what's expired, what's good, what's the last time, like, set up criteria for getting rid of stuff before you start going through it. So like, if it's expired, you're going to throw it out, right? Like, you're not going to negotiate with yourself. So you set up the rules first before you start the decluttering process. So you apply that rule consistently so that your emotions and any blockages don't get in the way. The starting small helps because it's also like, I think part of the paralysis is I don't know where to start, but like, girl, you got to start somewhere. Just start, just begin. So yeah, it's interesting. I definitely encourage anybody, if you're having like blocks in your life or if you're stuck on something. I used to hold on to things for dear life. I mean, I still hold on to a lot of things, but meaning like old relationships that no longer worked because I have abandonment issues. So even if it wasn't good for me, do you hear the baby snoring? He has a boob in his mouth and he is snoring. If I take the boob out, he's gonna wake up. Um, I would hold on to those old relationships, like not being treated well, people saying crazy stuff to me. I'm typically dated like passive aggressive people who will be saying snide things. You don't know exactly what their point is, but they're, saying slick shit to you, and you just kind of take it, or you get mad in the moment and then you get over it. You don't ever really get over it. Staying at jobs I shouldn't have stayed at. Just, different things. I remember, like, I've been fired multiple times and my mom would be like, "Good, you didn't want to be there anyway." I guess I was quiet quitting before it was a thing. But holding on to that job instead of looking for something that fulfilled me. Like the job I have now, I love my job. And so there were things that I had to do to overcome that, just to know my own self-worth of like what I bring to the table. Oh God, that reminds me of the meme. I am the table. I'm not the table, but I do bring a lot to the table. But like valuing myself, but I haven't been able to like value myself in relationships quite yet, because there is a part of me that fears abandonment. So I hold on to people. It's like I hold on to the things in my house. I'm scared. I'm scared too. And you know how you're supposed to save your taxes for what, like 5-7 years? I promise you, if I have it, I'll put it on a community post. I'm pretty sure I have tax returns from like 2008, 2011 in a box in Sugar Bear's room. Why? And I have a shredder. I did start shredding the other day. Let me not just put myself down. I did start shredding. Let me look for the positive in myself. But I'm just saying, like, I'm using it as examples of like to the depth of how these past traumas are impacting my day-to-day life. So yeah. The inattentive. I read those already. So that was it. Thank you guys for listening to me. Hopefully you found value in it. If there's some shadow work you need to do, or some things in your past, or if you just want to break the generational curses. And as women, let's be kind to each other. I feel like we are so hard on each other in a way that men are not hard with one another. We are so judgmental of one another. Like, let's lift each other up. I mean, don't sugarcoat stuff. Let's be honest when somebody is, needs some redirection or some encouragement, but be kind with our words. Yeah, kindness costs you nothing. A smile costs you nothing. So why not just administer them, generously to one another? So if nobody has told you today, I appreciate you. You are loved. You are valued. You bring a lot to the table. So just love yourself, give yourself grace. And I promise that I will do my best to do the same for myself. All right, ladies, thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate all of you. I will talk to you later.